well, I come from a background of pen testing on web security and stuff. This kind of thing really excited us back then. Bitcoins in general, if I have to simplify this and remove all the noise around it and the commotion, if you have to say it in the most lame and the most simplest terms, these are multiple entries in a database which cannot be tampered until and unless certain conditions are met. Apart from the international exchanges that we already have, to name a few, I think there is Poloniex, there is Bitstamp, then there is BTC-E. There are a couple of the ones out here in India also, like there is Zepway, there is Unicoin. But the problem that happens is that, many times what happens is that the exchange rates out here in India is pretty much more expensive as compared to the ones in the US. So, for example, if I have to kind of invest in one Bitcoin out there in maybe a Poloniex, which is a US-centric kind of an exchange, would be close to around $1,200. But the same when it comes to India is close to around 2 lakh rupees. Some of us do kind of, route the money and try and get some investments done in the US markets, in the US exchanges, and then kind of download it in our kind of wallets and then kind of buy the Bitcoins from there. Because most of the exchanges have limited modes of payment, right? They don't have kind of direct credit cards or MasterCards. They don't kind of accept it. So the only modes of payment is either through a PayPal, either through wire transfers, either through US-centric bank accounts, and most of them even don't accept your American Express cards. While in India, you have many options, but few of them are restricted to just bank accounts, deposits, and that's about it. Each day, each night, you kind of keep finding loopholes so that you buy better Bitcoins at better rates. And then you can get them withdrawn at a better price and sell them at whenever you want. Also in the past, portals like Bitfinex and many others out there have really got hacked. And while you can't really hack into the blockchain because it's the most secure form of cryptocurrency, algorithm, but what is hackable are these exchanges. So apart from just from the security point of view, it's also important if you're looking at from the profitability and the investment point of view and making sure you're getting more and better ROIs on your returns. I think it's always advisable to not just put in all your Bitcoins on just one exchange, kind of diversify it, increase your portfolio to maybe 3 or 4 different types of exchanges. And once you do that, that kind of gives you the ability to kind of play around with the different the coins, and that in turn would give you a better understanding of how the multiple exchanges work at one single time. The point after which you buy a Bitcoin is really important for you to understand that you got to rather not just restrict yourself to just Bitcoins, but perhaps end up buying more, and I would say other types of coins out there. So what are the other types of coins that we have? We have like Ether, we have the Monero, we have the Dash, we have Ripple, which are the upcoming coins out there which are competing with Bitcoins. So I would say once you buy a Bitcoin, you have to then explore it and make sure that your investments are put into different types of coins out there. So when you speak about a Ripple, when you speak about an Ether or Ethereum Classic, these are the coins that have really seen value in them since the last 2 months when the ETF rule came out, where they didn't kind of accept the whole concept of Bitcoins and approve it. It kind of gave rise to these coins and their popularity, and some of them are even in fact one of them is even backed by Google out there. While it's always important, as I said in the past, that while you can always invest in Bitcoin, but the growth of all these coins are also largely dependent on sentiments, right? So you can't really restrict your kind of investments in just one coin. This is an ever-evolving kind of a kind of an environment, right? It's fully digital centric. So unlike the share markets where the shares drop overnight, people sell them off, or perhaps sell most of the shares so that they don't kind of get a lot of loss in it. But in this kind of an environment where you're trying to playing around with cryptocurrency, it's always important to not just sell the coins off when you see a drop. Same thing happened with the last 2 month the market that you've been noticing for bitcoins. The prices from perhaps 1,500 fell down to $1,000, and now they have almost touched 3,000 in the last 1 month. So selling bitcoins overnight because you've seen a drop is the most foolish thing one can do. It's always advisable to sign up and register on websites which are pretty known in the Bitcoin fraternity. I'll not like to name anyone in certain because the reason being you really don't know tomorrow those same guys would turn out scammers. But there are many websites out there like local bitcoins wherein you can actually meet people in person and buy bitcoins from them. So the best way that one could really look at is maybe perhaps if on the exchanges you have your 2-auth authentication, which prevents puts in a second layer of security. But if you want to go beyond that, there are a lot of these hardware ledgers that you could buy. Perhaps there are 3 of them that I personally know of and I've used in the past. One of them is the Ledger Blue, second one is the Ledger Nano S, and the third is the Trezor. So these act as your hardware ledgers where you can store your bitcoins depending on certain capacities. So yeah, moving your coins to ledgers is one important aspect. Well, there are other mobile ledgers as well called as jacks, which you could use, which also act as like a ledger for you to save your bitcoins on a more hardware level versus then just keeping it on these exchanges. I would never say it's for everyone, because the reason being there is no middleman in this entire thing. It's only you and your knowledge for this environment like a Bitcoin network, right? So one thing is you got to understand this platform really well. This is for people who are very tech savvy, digital savvy, who understand what Bitcoin market is all about, and they need to be a bit certain and sure about what the investments they are looking at doing, and not really go on a back foot if they see a drop, because then this kind of a investment zone is not for the weak-hearted. Because you might see the returns maybe overnight, but you could also see the drops overnight.